Welcome to the Northern Knits Podcast. We are two friends in fiber who knit, craft, and really do all sorts of nerdy things together on the internet. My name is Jocelyn. My co-host is
Diana.
This is episode 169. I currently call Winnipeg, Manitoba home, and Diana calls Waterloo, Ontario home. This is round the second.
So originally I was sitting outside and we had issues.
We had some tech problems, but that's okay. Hopefully this sorts it out. So, Diana, there's no way for me not to make this sound fun and interesting anymore, because this will be the third time I'm telling you what's in my cup. I am enjoying some sweet orange ginger tea from Stash this afternoon.
Excellent. I, too, have the very interesting for the second or third time today. Iced strawberry cream tea that I wanted to throw sprigs of mint in, but I then discovered while I was sitting outside that my mint has aphids, and that's a problem, and therefore it's not going in my drink. So It's just strawberry cream tea that was cold and is now sort of room temperature because it's 37 degrees. Or feels like 37 anyway.
That's warm.
I'm melting a little bit in here.
I have a window open. I have a window open, but we're only having a high of 17 today out here, so I am enjoying the cooler weather.
I think the actual temperature is about 30.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with the people who told you don't get hot temperatures in that province lied to you. Lied to you.
From the news alerts on my weather app, I gather that this isn't necessarily normal.
Well, we've got that white elephant in the world. It's called climate change. So I'm going to go with probably your new normal.
Could be.
Yeah. So I feel like perhaps with your dual income, no kids tech life, you guys buy yourself some nice window units.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be glorious one day when we have a house with central air conditioning. Oh
yeah.
That'll be a beautiful day.
I love me my central air.
One day.
All right. Shall we dive into things that we're working on?
Indeed. Let's begin. As usual, you have more things.
I didn't think I'd have quite this many things. I thought I would have more things. I did not plan on finishing 2 objects this week. So there's that. I honestly thought the second one would take me longer. I did. I really did. Shnikes. Guys, I finished the Boyfriend Cardigan. You remember last week I was working on and had about 90 some odd % done. A crocheted bulky weight cardigan called the Boyfriend Cardigan. It is a free pattern available on Ravelry. I now have 2 sleeves. 2 sleeves going on here. We got two. This is good. And I got my pockets sewn on.
Ooh.
I'm happy to report not a single end has been woven in.
Perfect.
So it's ready to go, guys. It's ready for me to start wearing till I stick my ends on my sleeves into something, get really annoyed, and weave the ends in, because this is how ends get woven in my house. The first time I dip one of these ends in tea, then the ends will be woven in, but not a moment before. So once more with, I know myself. I know better. Once more with feeling before it hits the washer and dryer tomorrow, because this is 100% acrylic, baby. Ain't gonna block nothing.
Nice.
Oh, it feels so nice to say that. There are some perks to acrylic that I just love dearly. This is some Glacier colorway from the Barcelona line of Loops and Threads, which is a beautiful ivory winter white that variegates into a brown stone gray color. And it goes through a beautiful gray color on its route. So none of the cardigan matches. The stripes on the front don't match the stripes on the back, which don't match the stripes on the sleeve, and for some reason it just really works together that way.
That works out very well.
It just works. It looks like it's designed to be that way. It's kind of beautiful. So super happy with how that turned out. Super excited to wear it. I mean, I could right now because it's only 17 degrees, but I don't feel like melting to death, because that would be bad. So that took roughly just under 3 balls of the glacial yarn. So in terms of, I'm sorry, one of the fibers I'm dealing with is fluffy, so I got fiber on my nose. So in terms of stash dash, this is just over 1 kilometer. Just over 1 kilometer's worth of yarn, because crochet.
Good grief.
So that one worked. And then I was like, okay, I gotta get rid of the rest of this glacier stuff. It's gotta go. Like, I gotta finish it up. I'm gonna be rubbing my nose the whole time, because the last project I'll be talking about, it sheds. The fluffy goes places, people. So I was like, okay, I need something that I don't need to think about, that'll work up relatively quick, and it'll use up the last three-ish balls I have of the glacial yarn. So I was like, okay, I'll just make a giant granny square. I pulled in some of the Brava in the eggplant colorway that I had, as a color contrast, and I said, let's see if we can make a couch blanket. Pulled out a 9mm hook and just started making a square. I started it on Wednesday. I finished it on Friday. It's a Jocelyn-sized blanket. It's not small.
Whole blanket. Guys, she's like, oh, by the way, I just made an entire blanket in 3 days. I'm like, what? How? What do this is just not even fair. It's just not even fair. Whole blanket. So I accidentally have this other finished object. What do you mean you accidentally have a finished object?
I do. I finished a blanket.
Just like, oops, accident. I just made a blanket.
I started it on Wednesday. I went upstairs and I talked to my sister and I was like, okay, do I make it glacier all the way out and then just do a big border of purple, or do I stripe the purple in every time I switch balls? And my sister said stripe the purple in every time you switch balls. She totally made the right design call on this one. So I went out with my scraps and then I did a 2 rows of the eggplant, which makes this nice little chevron-y border in the granny. And then I went out and completed a round in the second ball. So the first center square is all scrap, leftovers from the cardigan and stuff. And then I had the first ball. And then I started in on the second ball and I was like, okay, I need it to be slightly rectangular, because we were definitely wide enough to drape really pretty over top of me. Like there's room for the girls. There's space. I'm not worried about the width of the blanket, but I was kind of worried about the length of the blanket. So I added a couple of extra rows to make it slightly rectangular. So 2 ends got a couple of extra rows and 2 sides did not get extra rows. So I literally draped from my toes to my shoulders. Just, mind you, but I go from my toes to my shoulders. That's a couch blanket.
Blanket in 3 days. Why do I even do that? What do I do with that? It looks really great, honestly.
And then I tucked it aside and went, Dad is going to shoot me. Okay. Cool.
Shoot you dirty looks, maybe?
Yep. But it has worked out great for this yarn, which didn't do so well. The glacier didn't do so well in the dwell cardigan because it's so soft that it didn't have enough grip to work as clothing. And that was the same problem I had with the eggplant, because you remember the eggplant and the Brava I'd originally bought to do that Stephen West cardigan you have.
Yeah.
Which it kept sliding off too much, so it wasn't going to work. Works great as a blanket because it is just stupid level squishy. So this is another thing that's going to the washing machine tomorrow because Monday's my laundry day, and then I can take some photos.
Nice.
This I'll probably weave the ends in, otherwise the cat will start chewing on them. This is how I make decisions in my life, people. But I have 2 FOs this week, and between both of those, whatever 328 times 6 is. Plus.
I don't know. Can't do that kind of math in my head.
9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18. Let's be 1800, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 19, 12 plus an additional 300 is 2112, so roughly 2,112 12 meters. So 2 kilometers worth of yarn knit this crocheted this week.
Wow.
That was not fast math, but that was very rough me adding on my fingers math.
I'm highly impressed.
I have now talked about 2 finished objects. It's your turn to talk.
My turn to talk. Okay, well, I am just about finished this row, so I will throw words into the air until I have finished these last few stitches. I have not been working on anything woolly this week because it's just too darn warm. Everything I have touched this week has been cotton-based. Case in point, which side's the front? This side's the front. I have about doubled, let me slide back here. I've about doubled the length of the Endless Summer Adventures that I started. Did I start it last week? I don't remember.
Yes.
Anyway, that progress marker is where I was when we finished podcasting last week. I have knit many more inches on it this week. This is like the fastest I've ever knit a shawl.
It's meant to grow up really quickly and be loose and drapey and excellent for summer. That's the point of it.
It is absolutely going to do that. I'm into the last 3 rows of eyelet lace before the big switch, so I'm like half done this shawl.
Mm-hmm.
And it is working up lovely. I have a ball of fingering weight cotton from Creek Gardens Crafts in Speckled Jewels, I think is the colorway. So it is a white base with little speckles of color that are, wow, it's really determined to focus on my face. Okay, well, let me just hold this ball up in front of my face.
Your computer monitor knows, or computer camera knows what it likes, and that's just how that's going to work.
I think at a firmware level, I think it's designed to look at faces. Anyway, this is a white base with pink and purple and blue speckles that is working up into this really nice lacy shawl that I'm very happy with. It's very light. It smells a little bit like campfire. I was sitting around a campfire the other day. It was
That'll
nice.
do it.
Patios are open here.
Mm-hmm.
But of course they're all stupid crowded, or, well, not crowded, but people are really keen on going to patios. So instead we went to one of Chris's coworkers' patios way out in the country. So they've got a giant backyard and there was a fire pit and we threw food on the fire and it was great. But it means that my shawl now smells like campfire, which I'm not upset about.
Like, I don't see a problem with this.
There is no problem with this. It's just kind of like, why do I smell campfire? Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man. I suppose it's my turn again, hey?
It is your turn.
All right. So, having 2 finished objects by Friday, my brain went, cool. I need something to do for the Patreon knitted Saturday. And I should get some actual knitting done because right now my crochet content work is strong. Not so much my knitting content. So I decided to work on my jack sock. And I did get enough work done on the jack sock. If you guys know, the jack colorway is from So Into Knitting. And it is literally black with grays and some pumpkin oranges. It is themed after Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I am about 3 or 4 rows short of my heel. So I've finished the foot for the most part. I will turn this sock inside out so I can show you guys these colors. So I thought it'd be variegated when I got the skein, but it's turned out into these freaking gorgeous micro stripes. So you get a little stripe of black, and then you get the sort of gray, purpley, orange mix, and then a stripe of black, and then, okay, you get the idea. My toes in a contrast pale pumpkiny orange colorway. The heel will also be in the pale orange, and then hopefully I can get my heel done today or tomorrow while I'm editing, and I can just whip up the leg, and hopefully be done the sock soon.
Nice.
Because nothing says stash goals like completing a pair of socks.
Complete all the things.
All the things. I gotta keep going, don't I? Do you have anything else, or is it just me
I
now?
No, I have one more thing.
Oh, cool. Okay, I got 2 more things, and then it's your turn again.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
So we were talking on Patreon the other day, and I had been discussing the knit-alongs that I've randomly just decided I really need to join, and other things I need to do, and I need to finish my niece's sweater. But the eye searing pink was killing me. It was causing headaches was what it was doing. So I wasn't working on it. So I have muted the snot out of it by holding it double, and right now I'm holding it double with a gray.
Oh, that looks so good.
So I started off by taking a fingering weight gray skein that I had from Noble Ruby Designs. It's gray with a little bit of stellina in it. And I wound off 4 individual sized balls in the gray so that I could hold it double. So I did the collar, and now I'm working one of the smaller balls in conjunction with the Manos de Earl Grey and Algria in their base, which is their fingering base, in this beautiful, super bright pink, to give you guys an idea of how much that gray tones that pink down. Like, that gray tones that pink down. Crazy.
Yes, it does. Wow. That is a difference.
It is a huge difference. So I'm almost out of one of my small balls of gray. And once I'm out of this one small ball of gray, I'm going to start bringing in the highlighter colors. So we're going to get bands of gray and pink, and then pink with the highlighter colors, and then it'll work its way through the pink and the highlighter colors, and then it'll be highlighter and gray, and then hem on the bottom. So it'll be kind of striped, kind of not striped, marled craziness, but this is the Flax Sweater by Tin Can Knits, and I started the yoke increases this morning.
Looks so good.
So hopefully I'm split for my shoulders in a day or 2.
Maybe I gotta make another one of those, because that just looks so good.
Oh, it's really fun. Now, I took the garter part out of the shoulder seams because that was what was giving me so much trouble with when I was trying to do this as a fingering weight sweater. And I don't want to argue with it. I just don't want to argue with it. I don't want to have to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm working
No,
on my
that's
bigger
fine.
needles, and the goal is just to get this bloody thing done.
Yeah, well, you don't even need that part. That's fine.
I don't. So I'm not doing it. So I gotta do it. Hopefully I'm past my shoulders in a day or 2, and then I'm roundy, which means I can work on it on the podcast next week because I'll just be roundy.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. And then I was like, we're working through my old yarns. So I'm trying to bring my collection down to something a little less crazy level so I can go ham in the fall and buy things from people. Which is just how my brain works. So if you remember from not last year, but the year before, or last year? Was it last year that Marley Bird did the My First Sweater along?
I think so. That sounds right.
I bought some yarn to do it. It wasn't the yarn she was doing it in, and that was fine. And I knit a chunk of the sweater, and then it must have been last year, because that's when I was like, okay, I can't just make a sweater to my chest measurements. I got to do additional math to make it fit properly. Otherwise it fits and it's just the wrong size, right? So I had bought a bunch of loops and threads in the Fawcett Stones. This happens to be the colorway Jade. So it's this beautiful deep forest green in through a sort of light leaf green, and then it's got some golden yellow. I almost want to say harvest wheat coloring. Can you tell I'm a prairie child? I look at this and I think that golden yellow is canola-y colored. May have spent too much of my life looking at canola fields, people.
Maybe.
Maybe. So I didn't enjoy how it was working out when it was knit. So I took it out, because if it's not going to work and I'm not going to wear it, I'm not going to keep it. Then I was talking, and we got onto the conversation of Cocoon Cardigans. I already have a Cocoon Cardigan, but a Cocoon Cardigan, and I'm using the same pattern I used last time, which is a video tutorial by Yarn Utopia. She does some amazing crochet tutorials, and I'm just making a giant granny square. But this Fawcett Stone is working up amazing in crochet.
That looks really nice.
It's just so nice in crochet. The colors are just going crazy, and it just works so nicely. You're getting
Yeah,
such a nice meld.
that looks better as crochet, definitely.
Oh, yeah. So I'm super excited with that. So this is going to grow up to be a cocoon cardigan for the fall for me to wear with my fall stuff. The downside is when you're working on it, it sheds a little. And it irritates my nose. So if you see me rubbing my nose, it's because that's what I'm doing to myself, people. But I'm super excited.
That's something I hadn't noticed about working in cotton all week. I have not been getting fiber up my nose and in my mouth and in my everywhere.
And in
This
your
cotton
everywhere,
doesn't shed.
I like how you're like in my everywhere. Like, sure.
You know what? Don't question it.
Not gonna question it.
Don't
But that's
question
it.
it.
That's all I've managed to work on. That's the incredibly large amount of stuff I've gotten through this week.
Yeah, you're productive. I feel very unproductive.
You have a regular job.
I feel unproductive at that too.
Shall we talk about your final project?
Yes, I resurrected an ancient knit. Something started circa 2016, I think my project page says.
Holy criminies.
Pre-podcast.
That's
This is
pre-nephew and niece.
not quite. 2016 is only 4 years ago.
That definitely would that be pre-niece?
No, not quite.
Just
Not
about.
quite. I'm so certain that I moved into the Winnipeg apartments with this, but that happened in 2015.
Yeah,
So my
that's
project
been a
page my project page might be lying to me.
Yeah, because I feel like you've had that since you moved into the Winnipeg apartment.
Because I remember it being the centerpiece on the coffee table for a while.
Yeah.
So I think my project page is lying to me.
Okay. So long as we both agree, we're pretty sure that your project page is lying to you.
Yeah. So okay. So anyway, we can agree that this thing is pre-podcast.
Yes, we can.
So this is the Celtic Myths fingering weight version. It is a crescent-shaped shawl that I'm holding sideways right now because I'm working on the applied edging, which is this crazy Celtic cable that when I started it more than 4 years ago, we've determined, that is not picking up well on camera. I did not really have the skills for this. I was terrified of it, so I kind of was working on it very, very slowly. Now I can cable without a cable needle and read charts, and I can just about figure out the cables without the chart. So I have advanced dramatically in my knitting skill throughout the knitting of this edging. And I'm still absolutely stunned that I still want to finish this project, even though it's like 6 years old. I don't know, I'm going to guess 6 years old.
It's been around long enough that I don't remember when you started it, which tells us it's been a while.
Honestly, this might be from before we were even friends.
I think that's entirely possible.
It might be that old. Yeah. Anyway, I picked it up and I knit this whole 1.5 inches that you see here. And I was going to do more.
It's a complex cable. You've got
it is. It's a 16 It's a 16 row repeat that's I don't remember how wide off the top of my head. But I was knitting along, and then I'm like, wait, this cable isn't crossing properly because where is it? Let's see if I can even find it. Ah, yes. This crossing right here is incorrect. This thing should be going underneath, and it is not. It is on top. It's very upsetting because now it's all messed up here. But in order to rip back to that point, I actually just have to unknit all of that because the two crosses, because the other cross goes way over here. So I'd have to drop down all of this. And I don't want to ladder up this crazy complicated thing. And I also don't want to unknit 3 inches. So through the wonders of YouTube, I found a video tutorial for duplicate stitching over your mistakes in cables.
And you're going to do that?
I'm going to do that because Like this yarn is even a little bit thick thin, and so even if my duplicate stitch is a little bit lumpy, it'll work just fine. Or you know what? If I can't find it at the end, it doesn't matter, does it?
Nope.
If I can't see it, it can't bother me. So
The
you know what?
number of the
It's
number
fine.
of projects I finished where I could, if I sat there and looked at it for a bit, point out the
Oh, here we go. There's
errors
an angle.
is in large. I don't think I have ever finished a project in my life without an error in it. And you know what? Nobody else sees it. I don't see it, and it doesn't bother me.
You can kind of see it here now that this one just stays on top for way too long.
Sure, if you point it out and pull it up
Yeah,
with close.
yeah. So if we just like ignore this bit,
Yeah.
it's fine.
And a crescent-shaped shawl, I think once you've got it all done, washed and blocked, if you can't spot it real fast,
Yeah, then it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. If you
Yeah.
find after you've washed and blocked it, it jumps out at you and it annoys you, then do the duplicate stitching.
Yeah. I suppose I should talk about the yarn that this is in.
Yeah.
This is cotton linen yarn from Juniper Moon Farm. It is the Zoe base. It's just been way too hot to touch wool, so yeah, this is a 60% cotton and a 40% linen. In I don't even know what color. It's brownish. It's grayish brown, this color. Rustic.
It looks like that color you see on shawls on every woman in historic pieces, historic period dramas.
Yes. Yes, it does.
That's what brown it is.
It's like brown with gray undertones or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty soft, and I'm excited to eventually wash it and see how the linen softens over time. And this is going to be a fantastic summer shawl eventually, one day, some year in the future, when I finally finish this like 6-year-old whip. Grumble, grumble.
You see, and my brain just went, I was just looking at Midnight Cravings, and they have linen blends that are really nice. It would be terribly hilarious if I just made a Celtic Smith shawl in the fingering weight out of the Midnight Cravings linen stuff and had it done before you were done that. Which would never happen, but it'd be hilarious if I could do it.
I feel like you're gonna try now.
Nope. I don't have time. We're starting things, and there's knit-alongs going, and there's stash dash yardage to complete. I don't have time to add a Celtic Smith shawl on there. If you're still doing that next summer, yes, all bets are off, and I will give it a go.
I am finally past the halfway point.
If you're still working on this in 2021, I may try to sneak an entire shawl in on you without telling you.
You know what? I would not be surprised. I've taken my sweet time with this whip. I'm kind of very ready to have it done.
That's super fair. That's okay. You know what? I was watching. Okay, so I do most of the podcast watching for the two of us, and then Diana always gets like the Cliff Note version, so she gets ordered to go watch things because something really nifty's happened. But I was watching the summer Cozy Up Knits episode, and Sarah started her Starlight Shawl. If you're a new watcher or listener, I am a huge fan of massive shawls, especially if they're done by the gentleman named Stephen West.
Mm-hmm.
I have a particular love affair with it, and I have all of the yarn necessary to make the mystery shawl from last year, which is called the Starlight Shawl. Sarah from Cozy Up Knits has also got the yarn to make the Starlight Shawl, and she casted hers on last week.
And you're very, very tempted?
Sarah whomps my butt. Like, she is such a freaking skilled knitter. It's crazy. And the urge is there. The urge is there to just cast it on and start posting on Instagram and tagging them and going, okay, Sarah, let's go. Huh.
So she'll have it done next week, and
you know what? She is such a fast knitter. Oh my gosh. And she's such a talented designer. And I'm just like, I can't. I know I can't. I cannot. I am not gifted that way. The temptation is strong. I have things I need to do to stick to my plans and there is a baby coming. I have to knit it a thing. There are little people who need stuff. Gotta get on this. I got a niece sweater to finish. Then the Simple Hugs coming out, and I've got the yard set aside for that. And we're running a cal for our Patreon members, and that's another sweater. And I'm like, guys, I don't have time. I do not have time. Watch next week when I've cast on the Starlight.
Uh-huh. I'm waiting for it.
Man, don't be shocked.
Is that everything? Are we done?
That's it. That is all of my crap. Listen, there's only 7 days in a week, okay? And I finished a whole blanket.
I better see 2 blankets next week.
Don't tempt me.
I guess we kind of already segued into Wool Gathering with the Patreon cal that we were talking about.
Yeah. So we did our Patreon e-knit in on Saturday, which was delightful fun. And I threw out the idea to the ladies who were able to make it and asked if they would be interested in doing a Patreon knit along over the summer, since we will not be doing the Across the Prairies cal this summer due to pandemic reasons. So the girls were like, yeah. So I made them help me define the parameters for it. Normally I do all this work for you guys and just present you a nice sort of nifty cal with all the decisions made. And I made other people help me make the decisions yesterday because I didn't want to make all the decisions on my own. So outsourcing at its finest. So this is going to be for our Patreon members. So you're really only going to ever hear about it tangentially through here because most of the stuff will go up on the Patreon for everybody. It's going to be open for all Patreon members. So if you're able to donate at $1 a month, you're in on the knit along. And the consequential finishing e-pattern giveaways. So that's going on. So we've got that set up and that running. So you will see me and Diana cast on things on the July the 1st. Diana? July the 1st.
July the 1st.
It's like next week. You've got the podcast coming up, and then after that, you got to cast a thingy on for the cal. Do not delay it, because you know if you delay it, you're setting yourself up for failure.
That would just be on brand for me. When have I ever finished a cal on time?
I have so much hope. This will be the cal that you start on time and you finish on time, and everyone's going to be amazed. It's going to be great.
You've got a lot of false hope.
I love me a good pipe dream.
Glad we understand each other.
So that's going on. So I've added that to my list for the summer, but that's fine. It's a thing. Diana can tell you more cohesively than I can what Patreon is, because I go off the rails every time I try to make the sales pitch. Diana's way better at it than I am.
Patreon is a method of financially supporting the podcast if you wish to and are able to do so. If you're not able to do so, liking, sharing, subscribing, talking about us, leaving reviews, all that stuff, that is great. That is fantastic and super helpful as well. But Patreon just helps us cover our hosting fees and prize giveaways and stuff like that.
Beautiful. It's exciting. Oh, lots of editing and things going on. I don't have much else in Wool Gathering because I talked about all the knit-alongs I kind of wanted to join last week. So my niece's sweater counts for the Marl along. Everything I'm doing counts for Stash Dash if I get it finished. And I think this Cocoon Cardigan is going to count for my effing self-care along entry on the F This Knits knit along.
Nice.
Even though technically it's crochet and I'll end up knitting something else, but sort of a knit craft along that they're doing. So a make along, if you will. I have the hiccups. It's going to make the rest of recording delightful.
We just have to get through literature and then we're good. All right, books. What books are we reading? What books are you reading? Books plural. I'm reading
Books,
one.
plural. I made it through books 2, 3, and 4 in the Sai Changeling series by Nalini Singh. So if you guys are keeping track, I've fallen down the rabbit hole and found a really good romance novelist who writes a really good romance story, and I like her world. So we're still there. So I listened to Visions of Heat, which is book number 2. Then Caressed by Ice, which is book number 3. And then Mind Possess, which is book number 4. Bright side is there's only 19 books in the series, so.
So 3 books a week. We're only hearing about this for, what, 2 months?
I have some work reading I have to do this week, so possibly not 3 books this week.
I feel like
We'll see.
the fact that you're excited to read all 19 books is a pretty high praise for the series.
Should just, every so often in every genre you ever read, you find a really good author and they just hit the balances and the marks really good, and you're like, yes, you're an example when people are like, you want to talk about, because it's all personal with what you read, obviously, because you may not like something that somebody else likes. You hold up a new book and you're like, this is an example of great writing in this genre because insert reasons here. Nalini Singh's very quickly for me in the romance genre, climbing that pile of, yes. If somebody said if you would have an author to recommend, she's jumping to that top of that list real quickly, depending on what people's preferences are for books.
Nice.
So much so that I had an hour-long conversation with my mother about it. Because she's never read Nalini Singh, so she's going to correct that oversight. And my mom reads 2 to 4 romance novels a week and has done so for many years. So I come by my book consumption habits honestly.
I'm still plugging away at the Expanse number 8 book, Tiamat's Wrath.
Mhm.
I have come to the part in the book where they're gearing up for the big event that is going to hopefully make everything better, but will ultimately change the universe completely.
Yes.
I know the formula. It doesn't make me tired of the formula after 8 books. I'm still like, nah, what? And things are happening, and people are dying, and I'm having the feels, and it's just,
Uh-huh. Keep going. Keep going. It gets better.
I have 4 hours left.
Keep going. It gets better.
Oh, I'm so scared for what's going to happen in 4 hours. Like, how completely is this universe going to change again?
Keep going.
Oh no. And see, I've got 2 of you saying things like that to me, like, but things that I want to discuss with you, and hurry up and finish. Like,
Uh-huh.
oh
Hurry up
gosh,
and finish.
what's gonna happen?
I can't tell you. Finish the book.
Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared for everybody. Nobody's safe.
By the point where I get to that tail part in any book, I don't put the book down. I can't stop until I find out what's happening. I become a little obsessed. A little obsessed.
It's rapidly getting to that point where I'm like, but I'll just, because I listen to it while I'm like having a shower or cleaning something. Like, I can clean something else.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I got 3 romance novels done in a week.
I can clean this thing better again 2 days in a row.
I can crochet a whole ball of yarn in a day, so I have an excuse to sit down and listen to an 8-hour, 9-hour book. No problem.
Yeah.
That's how you get a blanket done.
So, heavily recommending the Expanse series.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Again,
No.
for like 6 months going.
That's a huge series. It's so well written. So well written. Don't watch the TV show. The books are great.
I like the TV show. It is different.
Crazy.
I like the TV show. I think the TV show is good.
You're crazy, and I like the Uran Host Club.
I also like that.
Which makes Mr. B think we're both nuts.
I think I watched that series like 3 times. It's just, it's silly. It's so silly.
What was he ranting and raving about the other day? He really liked a series, but the fan service bugs him. I'm like, why do you watch? Why do you watch and then complain about the fan service? It's a part of anime. It's what it does. It's like watching an adult drama and then complaining that it has adult drama. Duh! I don't understand. But that's it for me for books.
Same. I think that's it. Okay, I want to get out of this really hot room. I'm melting. Like, I can't knit anymore. My hands are sticking to the yarn.
That is gross. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so we'll let Diana go, and I will say until next week, I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
No matter where your week takes you,
Don't forget to knit.